Let's bring in somebody who certainly speaks for a lot of progressives, Brian Tyler Cohen. He's a political commentator, host of the No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen podcast, and one of the most followed progressives on the entire internet. This is the guy, you may not know his face, but you probably know his tweets and know his videos, where he breaks down a lot of what's happening in terms of the news. Brian, you tweet a lot every day. You have a big progressive audience of millions of people. How did this tweet talking about this do? What did progressives say when they found out what the governor announced over the weekend?
Yeah, so this did quite well. I think just on average, maybe just a normal, decent tweet will do maybe 50,000 impressions.
Fine. You don't
this one did 3 million. And I think that's a testament to how excited those on the left are that finally we have somebody willing to fight fire with fire. I mean, we have this bounty system that was enacted in Texas and that the Supreme Court let go through so that they could push their own priorities through. Well, let's see if they actually, will continue doing that when something that they support is on the line.
Well, to Phil's point, this is an idea. This is just a proposal at this point. How likely will this become a reality?
It obviously remains to be seen, right? We have the legislature that will actually come back in January, and then we have a Supreme Court that has twisted itself into pretzels to enact a Republican agenda, and that will basically allow the rule of law to be undermined so that they can enact a bounty system that would allow Roe v. Wade to be subverted. But so it wouldn't be a surprise if the Supreme Court then said, okay, well, we'll allow this to go through for abortions because that's one of our political priorities, but it's not going to, but we'll figure out some way to make sure that that's not the case with a Second Amendment issue, right? Like that wouldn't be all that surprising, but at least what we have with what Gavin Newsom is doing right now is an attempt to actually fight back. Because yes, we have unified control of government right now, but nothing seems to be happening on that front. I know that we're limited by what we can do in terms of the filibuster, and we need 60 senators to be able to push through any legislation. But, the fact remains that what people not well versed in the intricacies of Senate procedural tools see is those Democratic majorities in the House, in the Senate, in the White House. And so to be able to see that Democrats have control of all the levers of government here, and that we're now seeing an attack on women's reproductive health and their right to a safe and legal abortion in this country is unacceptable for those 75% of Americans who do support Roe. So, I think that any Democrat would agree that the Republican Party, if nothing else, is ruthless. And now what Gavin Newsom has done is given us an opportunity to be ruthless for a good cause, to be ruthless for women's reproductive rights. And I think that's important.
Of course, the one branch that the Democrats don't control is the Supreme Court. Phil Schuman, to you.
Right.
Well, I also want to point out that California has an assault weapons ban, and ghost guns are increasingly illegal in almost all jurisdictions. The federal court overturned the ban. The Ninth District Court stayed that overturned decision. So the California assault weapons ban remains in effect. I can't go into this store behind me and buy an assault weapon. There are also a lot of limits on what you can buy in terms of magazines, 10 shots. You can't have a quick eject button on the magazine. So California already has some of the strictest gun control laws in the country, which we've often reported on. But what Jessica Levinson and others were saying was this is about Gavin Newsom's political ambitions, because if this happens, and whether the state passes it, whether the Supreme Court deals with it or not way down the road, he can say, hey, look what I did. I fought for gun control. I fought to keep you all safe. And he staked out that political ground on his eventual quest to be president of the United States.
Well, I would just say, look, whatever Gavin Newsom's political ambitions are aside, the fact is that if he's going to be willing to fight for those 75% of Americans who do agree with Roe, then so be it. The fact is, like I said before, we have unified control of government in those branches of government where Democrats control, and yet we're not seeing any movement. We've watched a woman's right to a safe and legal abortion in the United States get decimated over the last several weeks. So, whatever the political ambitions, fine. At least we have somebody willing to fight fire with fire here.
And I know there's been a lot of frustration for some on the left that Joe Biden has not fought harder, that he does not, by personality type, fight a lot, because his whole idea is bipartisanship, unity, kumbaya, let's bring each other together. Gavin Newsom's idea is more of, I want to be the first progressive to do this. They're very different stylistically, and you're seeing some of that maybe play out here. Brian Tyler Cohen, thank you for being with us. Great to see you. Phil, always great to see you. You can listen to Brian's podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, on Apple and Spotify and wherever you find your podcasts. And his most frequent guest on that podcast is me, which is always fun. You can see us go back and forth if you go back through the archives. We appreciate it.